Hello friends, welcome to my channel. And if you have been following this video series, you would know that in the last video we completed the installation of SCCM environment, and in this series we are planning to do some sort of an introduction to the features and capabilities of SCCM, as well as perform some post-installation configuration. Now, on a high level, the SCCM, and remember, this is still only the on-premise version of SCCM. It is spread across four panes, if I can call them: asset and compliance, software library, monitoring, and administration. So if we go under asset and compliance, we will see it consists of all the devices. So this is basically where all the corporate devices which are running SCCM agent resides, or they are recorded. Now, of course, right now in this lab, I have not pushed the agent to any of the clients. I do not have anything included here. However, as you start pushing your agents to more and more devices, it would start coming under the devices node. Also, the collection is basically a container which contains the devices. Remember, applications or patches or task systems cannot be pushed to machines, so we need to create a collection. There are inbuilt collections. However, if you want to create collection, I just shown you how to do that. And likewise, let's move on to the software library. So software library is where you store all your applications, your operating system images, drivers, updates. Again, under application, you basically have two nodes. Like there are two popular ways of maintaining applications, either through traditional packages or application format. Applications are becoming more popular these days, and one of the reason is because it supports a large number of app types. So for example, if you were to create a new application, I would just show in a bit. Yeah, so if you were to create an application, it can be supported by all the different application types, not just the traditional MSIs and executable, and it can even support an Mac OS application, and that's one of the reason why it's getting so popular. Also, an app can be deployed to user collection. Now, monitoring is where you can actually see the compliance percentages of a deployment. For example, if you have deployed a software, you want to check to what percentage of the population has it been successfully deployed. That's what we use the monitoring for, and that's what we use a lot of reporting mechanism for. We will also try to install a reporting server role in a short while from now. Moving on. Now, administration, as the name suggests, this is how we basically administer or maintain the entire SCCM environment. This is how we actually control who gets what kind of access, and we will talk about role-based access in some other video. So basically, these are all like topics which can be discussed separately, and basically this is how we start deploying site system roles. Now you would remember that when we were installing the primary server, we also selected distribution point and management point as some of the roles which would be getting installed on this server, and that's why when I clicked under the distribution point, the server name comes up. So since it's already deployed, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to configure a Pixie role on this server, on this distribution point. So we are under the general tab, and you would notice there are a lot of options, like whether you want to select the branch cache or a lead bat or both. So these are basically Microsoft approved network optimization technologies. So it doesn't necessarily means that enabling the branch cache or the lead batch would slow down the content distribution. It would rather enable features which makes the content transfer very intelligent and intuitive. So what these technologies basically do, they are constantly monitoring the traffic flowing over the network, and at the time when business traffics have peaked, it kind of adjusts the content flow accordingly. So moving on, under communication, I would not select the HTTPS for now because I do not have a PKI infrastructure. Going into the Pixie tab, now this is where you enable Pixie. So for those of you who might be wondering what Pixie is, it's actually a network terminology. What it does, it enables a device to boot onto the network and start downloading the files necessary for it to load the operating system. So Pixie works in collaboration with your DHCP server, which relays the Pixie server IP address to a machine which is freshly booting on the network. So we will sort of enable the Pixie support here, and as a part of Pixie, you also need to make sure that Windows deployment server, which is one of the Windows server role, is also installed. Now I'm going to give a password. This is just to make sure that in case some external party have sort of plugged in and trying to boot, they should not be aware of that password. And I also want to support the unknown devices, meaning so unknown devices from an SCCM perspective are devices which does not have a record already in SCCM. I'm going to leave the multicast and group relationship for now. And as you know, I do not have much of the content so far in this lab, so I will leave all of them. I will talk about the boundary groups in some other videos because that's a very interesting topic to learn and understand. Just like how we have boundaries in physical world, we have IP-based boundaries and AD sites and subnet-based boundaries in digital world, and that's how we as administrator decide which region gets what kind of deployment for packages or operating system files. All right, with that, let's try to install some of the other server roles. We are now going to try installing the reporting services point, and for that we need to make some changes or configuration in reporting server configuration manager. So we managed to connect to our server and database instance. Now on the service account, I would leave it at default. Let's just make sure that our web service URL is configured properly. Now here under database, I would show you how you can add or change a database. So I'll first click on create a database. Now in my case, this reporting server database is already existing, so it should throw me an error or information. Yeah, there it is. So I will go back and sort of add an existing server database. And let's monitor the progress. It seems like all of the steps are successful. Similarly, make sure the web URL is configured properly. Just give a default name to the virtual directory. I've given it reports, and I wouldn't be too much bothered about the rest of the configuration. So that's all we needed to do in SSRS. Now we can again select our existing site system server, right click and select add a role. Click on next. I do not want a proxy setting. Click on next. Now remember, here you would only be accessing the roles which are not yet installed on the server. So in my case, I'm yet to install a reporting services. Okay, the connection seems to be successful and it has pulled up the instance name. So this all looks good. Let me quickly set a service name which the SQL reporting services will use to connect to the configuration manager database. Now remember, whenever you're providing such service account names, ensure that the password never expired is checked on the Active Directory attribute of that account. Otherwise you might come across some issues. So I click on next, and it seems like that's all that's required to install. Here it looks like it went through successful. So what we can do is we can quickly check the roles that are currently showing up as installed and configured on the site's system server. And if you go to our site system, it looks like a reporting server is pretty much installed. Alright, so the next we are trying to install a software update point role on this site system server. So again, select the site system, click on add roles, click on next. I'm not using any proxy server in my lab environment. Now if you notice, it would only provide the list of roles which are not installed so far. So the reporting service and the distribution point service as well as the management service is already installed on this server. So it's giving me an option to install a software update point now. Let me select and click on next. It's asking whether I want to use the default port number 18443 for client communication. Let us select the second option that says WSUS is configured to use port 8530 and 8531 for client communication. These are the defaults for Windows 2012 and later. Keeping these ports on the dedicated 8530 and 8531 helps to separate the traffic flow during updates, upload and download from the regular traffic. So click on next. Software breakpoint proxy settings, I have mentioned I do not want to use. Synchronize from Microsoft Update, yes. Here you can select what kind of frequency do you want to sort of synchronize your database, the update database with the Microsoft Update servers. Let me select it as 10. It is asking me to select the supersedence behavior. Do I want to immediately expire superseded software update? I would say yes. If you want to select do not expire a superseded software update until the software update is superseded for a specific period, you can set the number of days here, days or months here. Maintenance behavior decline expired update in WCS according to supersedence rule. Again, there are several ways of configuring it. For the update classification, let me select critical, feature pack, security, service pack, updates and upgrades. Yeah. So it is giving me an information that to service Windows 10 version 16 or 7 and later, we must have this particular KB installed. Okay, so what I will do is I will just make a note of this URL and install this KB article when I get time afterwards. Select next here. For all products, go under Windows. You will notice a lot of the operating systems are not available in this catalog. For example, Windows Server 2019 is not available. That's because only the first time when it synchronizes, the rest of the stuff starts coming. So let me select that one, Windows 10 and Windows 2016, and click on next. Yeah, it's good, only English is pre-selected and that's what I want. So let me click on next. And this is where it is trying to install the role on the site server. Okay, good, all good. So it looks like the software update service is installed as well. Let me see if I can synchronize it. So I'll right click and I will run synchronization. And it says obviously no items found because this is the first time that it's trying to synchronize. Let's give it some time, after which we should start seeing all the relevant updates into this section. So that's it, my friends. I will see you in next video on some other topic. Maybe discuss a little bit about how to create applications, packages, as well as how to distribute them, and how to capture an image, how to create an OST distribution task sequence. There's basically lots and lots of things to learn in SCCM. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.